Well, we have yet another playoff elimination, and this one's a bit shocking for some people. That team being the Cleveland Cavaliers, a team that many picked to make the NBA Finals, if not even win the entire thing. But yet here they are once again getting beat in the second round. And well, there's many questioning their future, if they'll run it back with this team, if they'll make changes, and if they do make a change or two, if that could benefit a different team and potentially a team like the Lakers. I've seen some Laker fans wanting a few guys in their team, maybe a guy like DeAndre Hunter, Jarrett Allen, maybe a role player for their team, questioning if they would potentially trade them and how a trade might look like with them. So we'll talk about that, talk about what a trade with them might look like, which of their players would be worth it, in my opinion of course, and then for what individual player would look like via trade. So we'll talk about that and break it all down. And well, to begin, I think we kind of rule out Donovan Mitchell. No, that won't be happening. Even if they would go full out all rebuild, the Lakers wouldn't have enough to trade for him, and that's not a realistic target in my opinion. Yes, he might have been linked to their team in the past, but I don't see it happening. So definitely cross out Donovan Mitchell. After that though, maybe a guy like Darius Garland. I wouldn't be shocked if they trade him, but I really doubt that they'll trade him to the Lakers, and I don't think the Lakers should even want him. Not to say that he's a bad player, but he wouldn't be a great fit for their team. They don't really need a point guard right now. I mean, many think they should trade Austin Reeves, and that's kind of what Darius Garland would be for their team, albeit more of a true point guard, but once again, not a great defender, kind of a third option and one that doesn't fill that role that well, especially in the playoffs up until this point. So I don't think a trade for Darius Garland would be a good idea, and simply not worth the assets, especially if you factor in his contract. Next season, he'll be making $39.4 million, up to over $40 million in the final 2 years of that contract, and I simply don't think that would be worth it. So once again, while I wouldn't doubt if Cleveland would trade him or try to trade him, I don't think he'll be to the Lakers, and I don't think the Lakers should want him through a trade. After that though, would they maybe think about trading Evan Mobley? And well, simply put, no. I don't think they would or ever will think about trading him in the near future. I mean, only 23 years old, coming off a Defensive Player of the Year award, which many question if he should have won or not have won, but regardless, does appear to be in their long-term future, and they have no plans to trade him in my opinion. Yes, he did miss part of the playoffs with an injury, and that probably factored in greatly to them getting beat, but it's not like he played poorly when he did play. Wasn't a direct cause for them getting beat, and I don't think they'll think about trading him anytime soon. Only appears to be getting better, really on both ends of the court, and should be a big piece of their long-term future. However, after that point, then we can have a real conversation, because everyone from DeAndre Hunter, Jarrett Allen, Max Strus, Isaac Okoro, and Dean Wade kind of did underperform in the postseason, with that being especially true for DeAndre Hunter. A guy they traded for during this season, trading Karis LeVert and a couple other trade assets to get DeAndre Hunter, which at the time appeared to be an upgrade, and I like the trade for them. And well, he looked to be that way from the start with their team too. After being traded to their team and during the final 27 games of the regular season, DeAndre Hunter averaged about 14 points per game, 4 rebounds per game, shot 48.5% from the field, and nearly a team high at that point, 43% from 3. So yeah, very good, but unfortunately did not translate to the postseason, or not quite up to that level. Averaging roughly 11 points per game, under 4 rebounds per game, shooting 43% from the field, although a very good 46.2% from 3, took less of them per game and made less of them per game too. Really underperforming in the second round of the NBA playoffs, getting bothered by the Pacers, and really annoyed by guys like Benedict Mathurin, which ultimately got to his head. Didn't have over a 12-point game during the second round, and definitely was one of their biggest underperformers in the postseason, especially during that second round. And well, with DeAndre Hunter being a guy that has been linked to the Lakers, both through trade rumors and then a guy that they actually technically drafted, I wouldn't be shocked to see them be slightly interested in him again. Now, whether they actually pull off a trade for him or not, that's definitely up for debate. I'm not sure they'll directly target him or prioritize him, but if he would enter the trade block and the Cavs make him available, then I wouldn't be shocked to see the Lakers show slight interest. Now, he will be making $23 million next season, roughly $5 million more than a guy like Rui Hachimura, who is kind of a similar player to him, both pretty good and efficient 3-point shooters, bigger 3-and-D wings, and kind of missing the defense part of that, sometimes being decent on defense, but other times not so much, and I'm not sure it would be a major upgrade for them, and definitely not one that would warrant a first round draft pick with them trading Rui Hachimura. So for DeAndre Hunter, not really too keen on that kind of trade. I like him and think he's a pretty good fit for pretty much any team, but I wouldn't think it would be a huge upgrade for their team, especially in regard to trading Rui Hachimura. But after those four, then comes the guy that many Laker fans want, and the guy I've probably seen the most hype about if the Cavaliers would put him on the trade block. That player being Jarrett Allen. A player that's been part of their team and part of their core for about half a decade now at this point, dating back to when they acquired him back in 2020, but he's not played particularly well during the postseason, and I wouldn't be shocked if he would maybe be the guy they'd look to trade, other than maybe Darius Garland directly after him, maybe try to change their team up, and with the pathway being with Jarrett Allen. And well, if they would go that route, I think the Lakers should and probably would be interested, is a starting level center, theoretically would be a pretty good fit for their team, is a great lob threat, a very athletic big, only 27 years old, theoretically would be a good fit for their future with Luka Doncic, would fit their 3 to 5 year outlook, and actually is under contract for a large majority of that, albeit a contract that goes over $20 million per year, so might want to factor that in with a trade for him. But I think he'd be a good fit, is an athletic lob threat like I said, does fit well for them offensively, theoretically, is a pretty good defender, great rim protector, fairly switchable, pretty versatile player in general, and does live up to his current value in my opinion, albeit isn't an incredibly valuable contract, but would be a pretty good trade target in my opinion, and a guy they probably would be interested in. But with that in mind here, if the Cavs would trade him, what would they want for him, and is there anything the Lakers really have to offer for him? Well, in my opinion, probably not. I mean, looking at and talking about what the Cavaliers need, either a defensive-minded guard to pair with Donovan Mitchell, a guy that would be an upgrade over Darius Garland if they would trade him as well, which the Lakers really don't have to offer. The guy that many Laker fans want to trade and probably would think about trading here would be Austin Reeves, but I'm not sure that trade would make sense to them, especially if they don't trade Darius Garland first. I mean, a backcourt with all three of Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland, and Austin Reeves would not really be a great fit, and they probably wouldn't want that. So apart from that, they could maybe use another big 3-and-D wing or simply another big wing in general, which might be a guy like Rui Hachimura, but like I said when talking about DeAndre Hunter, they're kind of similar players and don't really offer something really that different compared to each other, so I'm not sure they want that either. Probably more than they want Austin Reeves, or more so from a fit standpoint and what they don't really have, but I still don't think they'd really want it. I mean, sure, we could try to throw an offer of Rui Hachimura with a guy like Jordan Goodwin or some other small contract, maybe Dalton Knecht, and their 2031 first round draft pick, plus 2 or 3 future first round draft pick swaps for Jarrett Allen, but I don't see it very likely. I'd love for it to happen, but I don't see him being a very likely option, unfortunately. And to make a trade work for him, it definitely would have to be some wonky 3, 4, 5 team trade, and the only one I could come up with that kind of makes sense, and take that with a grain of salt here as no 3, 4, 5 team trade is ever very likely to happen, would be one between the Lakers, Cavaliers, and the Orlando Magic. I think the Magic are a team that would probably be a great fit for Austin Reeves, but really don't have a direct pathway to trade for him without a third or fourth team being involved. So potentially all three of them could help each other here. Maybe the Cavaliers trading Jarrett Allen to the Lakers, and them getting a combination of guys from the Magic rather than players from the Lakers. Maybe a combination of Wendell Carter Jr. to replace Jarrett Allen, then a young true 3-and-D wing like Tristan da Silva, a guy that would probably be a better fit for them and could grow with their team. Maybe they'd be interested in that, and that's the only contract and player I could find to make the money work here. Then trading Gary Harris to the Lakers, also to make the money work, not really for a super valuable contract or player, but a decent fit albeit at that. Then trading Austin Reeves and Maxi Kleber or Gabe Vincent to the Orlando Magic. Then simply throwing the draft picks here to whatever way you see fit, and potentially it could be a decent trade for all three parties, albeit not one I find incredibly likely. I'd love to get Jarrett Allen, and I think he'd be a pretty good fit for their team, but I don't see a pathway for it that's very realistic and one that's anyway predictable at all here. Like I said, would have to be through some complicated 3, 4, 5 team trade, and we simply can't predict that realistically. However, I definitely would say that he's my favorite trade target on their team and a guy that I definitely would stay on the lookout for. If the Cavs would try to make changes, if they trade guys not named Evan Mobley and or Donovan Mitchell, then I wouldn't be entirely shocked to see either Darius Garland, DeAndre Hunter, and or Jarrett Allen hit the trade block. So from that standpoint, I guess stay on the lookout for it, and might be a guy that they could potentially take a look at trading for if he would hit the actual trade market. But apart from all of them, then we simply have some role players left and guys that probably don't have incredibly high trade value or would be at the top of my priority list. But I guess you could think about a guy like Isaac Okoro. Is a pretty good 3-and-D option, probably wouldn't have a heavy price tag, and might be a guy I guess they could try to include in a trade if they would make some other trade with the Cavs, but I wouldn't put him as a direct trade target for their team. Same could be said and would be said for Max Strus. Is a talented player, but coming off a very terrible playoff performance. I mean, shooting 0 for 9 from the field in an elimination game, not a good look for him, especially after saying don't show up if you're not trying to win or whatever his quote was. Probably not a good look for Max Strus, and probably not a guy they really need on their team that badly. And then apart from that, maybe for Dean Wade, but not much left to talk about here. Simply some minimum contract guys, and the main targets would definitely be Jarrett Allen and or DeAndre Hunter in my opinion. Would have zero interest in Darius Garland, don't believe they'll trade Donovan Mitchell or Evan Mobley, so pretty much only looking at Jarrett Allen here and maybe DeAndre Hunter in my opinion. But with all of that being said, what do you guys think? Do you think the Cavaliers might make a trade, and if they do, would they be willing to trade a guy like Jarrett Allen? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But I think that'll pretty much do it for this one, and if you enjoyed the video, then I'll greatly appreciate it if you dropped a like, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and hit that notification bell to never miss out when I upload a video. But as always, thank you for watching and have a great day or night.